First of all, hi, Reggie Whitley here, and we are excited to bring you another episode of The Awakening with Shontal Bettis Brown in the house. Was that silent? Was that a silent hello?
No, there was a silent hello. There was hello.
She got her dress on, y'all, so she thinks she's something. So we are here to have yet another discussion. And this time, the discussion is about self-love. I really feel like a lot of people don't show themselves self-love. You know, we are trained to pour into so many other people. We aren't being programmed. I think many aren't programmed or trained or brought up to pour into themselves, show themselves self-love, show themselves self-care. And so just want to kind of have a little chit chat about that today, and hopefully, y'all will get something out of it. And if you don't, hopefully, we're at least a little entertaining. Maybe you'll laugh, maybe you'll cry. You never know, but you won't die. So, could think of another word that rhymed real fast. Dr. Seuss ain't on me today. So, how do you show yourself? You are a wife, stay-at-home mom, author extraordinaire. How do you show yourself self-love? Or do you show yourself self-love? I'm glad that you said no, because I was sitting here thinking before you get started. I was just sitting here thinking, I bet a lot of people would probably look at their lives and say, I probably don't show myself self-love. Hopefully you'll see in this talk today where there are things that you do that is self-love, and then hopefully we'll give you some ideas on how you can other ways to show yourself. So back to you, Shontal. Do you now? Have you always? And why not?
Before I had kids, before I became a mother first, because I did have my daughter.
Can I pause you right quick? What's the difference between what you just said? You said before I had kids, before I became a mother first. When you had kids, you became a mother. What's the difference?
I had to go back. I had to start over. What I was about to say. Yeah. But I ain't drunk now when I did it, but I had to take a quench. So before I became a mother, I think I was good with it. I used to go get my nails done, go get my hair done, make sure I was apart for me. And I used to just cater to myself. And so when I became a mom, it wasn't about me no more, in a sense. And I think that's where people lose it. And even when I became a wife and I started doing all that, wife, I'm a sister, daughter, all that. But I was able to navigate before. But it's like when it's in-house with you, you have to kind of, you got to maneuver a little bit. And so I didn't know how to maneuver. I felt like, everything was for my kids, everything, my husband. And so I had to kind of pull back and see, okay, if Shontal ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If I'm not loving myself, not saying that my kids, my kids or my husband love me, but it was more pouring into them and doing more for them than I was able to do for myself. And I don't know, coming from, some parents, they probably feel like, I can have some money to get my hair done, but then here come my daughter. If anybody knows her hair is, she got some hair on her head. And so it costs more to deal with. And so I had to be like, okay, it's my nail money, extra money to get her hair done. Nail money, extra. And it's like I started to see myself pour into her more, which was fine. But then it got to a point, dang, I don't even care no more. I don't care how I look. It got to that point. And so I realized I didn't love myself like I needed to. I didn't appreciate me. I kind of lost myself along the way. And so now I have started practicing. I had to write down, and I'm gonna show y'all something. And it may not, and this is, I did this like a couple years ago. You see this? Long list, long list, long list. Anybody knows me personally, Jeremiah 29 is my favorite. 29:11 is for I know the plans I have for you. I had to speak over myself. I had to get back into that. And this listing here is 20 listings that I had to encourage myself of who I am. Because when you love yourself, you're gonna know who you are. And when you don't love yourself, you kind of forget that. So I had to go back into nourishing myself, taking care of myself, speaking to myself, showing myself gratitude, just working on me in a way where now I find myself reading these affirmations, reading these quotes for me to empower me, to give me back that power. And so many people, they don't love themselves because you got so many hats. And when you have a lot of hats, you tend to leave hats everywhere. And you break yourself down and you don't take care of yourself. So for me, I think I have gotten way more better than I did before. After this, a wife and mom. So that's basically me, my self-love experience.
Well, there you have it, people. Shontal Bettis Brown in a nutshell. And so I think that is very much so relatable to a lot of people, especially in your position, the position of wife, mother, all of that. Because it's really, so is it that there was no self-love there, or is it that there was no balance?
I think it was so much a balance because when you love yourself, you take care of yourself. And I wasn't doing it. So I think for me, it's like I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care. It was like a depression. And I think self-love deals with depression. And a lot of people don't like to link it up together. Have self-love, baby. Something wrong. It's you in a peak season. It's something. I think it's more of a mental than a physical effect when it comes to self-love. And so I think I went through that depression stage as well. Because like I say, author, different stuff, it's other stuff, but when you try to cram all that into one person, sometimes that person loses themselves. And it's not just balance, but it's a point where you just give up on you.
And that makes a whole lot of sense because the organization Self-Love Rainbow, I went to their website before we got started, and one of the things that they were saying, it goes back to what you said about depression. They kind of broke self-love down into 6 different foundations, what the foundation of self-love. And one of them is mental health. And so I don't know if we're going to get to all 6 on this show, but I know that is mental health because self-love has a foundation of how are you mentally? Are you taking care of yourself mentally? Are you tending your own thoughts to your own what makes you happy? Because self-love overall is, of course, what makes you happy. Happiness is a feeling, deals with happiness. So that is something that's so important for people to really hone into and pay attention to is what is my mental state? And like you said, a lot of people don't connect the two because they're like, oh, that's way over there. That's something else. And this is something else. The heart is mental, is the mind. I threw myself off because, this ain't my heart. But the mental health, the heart itself, are they not connected? And so, even scripture, so as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So I think that it needs to be talked about more. I'm really glad we're in this era of hopefully it's not an error. Hopefully it's something that is just an awakening. I'm really glad that we're in the awakening of, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Of mental health. You know, everybody's talking about, not everybody, a lot of people are talking about mental health, therapists, you know, doing certain things to take care of your mind. And that is just a sign of, because a person who doesn't love themselves is just all over the place mentally and all that stuff. But it is a sign of self love to say, hey, let me take care of this that's going on in my mind. Let me take care of this depression, this anxiety, this whatever this thought is. And I think that is so important. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Another foundation, I should say, as she calls it, of self-love is self-care. You kind of talked about that too. So what are some things as far that you do now? Because I know you said before you were mother, and while you were doing, you know, like getting your hair done, getting your nails done. Because I'm thinking about people who are watching who may say, well, I don't have the money to do all of that. Is that a reasonable answer? Or even if they don't have the money, are there other options for self-care?
I had to teach.
Or both.
I had to teach myself. I taught myself how to do my own nails, pedicure, eyelashes, hairdo. Sometimes you got to go outside the box. And I think I added, you got to see what kind of gifts God has for you. And what can you do for yourself? And so I think, and then it became personal. The experience with me learning how to do my own hair, to do my own nails, to give myself a pedicure, to do those things that uplifted me. It brought value to myself, because that means I'm taking the time out my day to do some for me, and I'm doing it myself. So it wasn't so, and much as money wise, but I just took that opportunity to learn some, put another gift up on it, pull out what was in me. And so, and I also encourage myself, like I say, I'm gonna just read 5 other things, because you got to know, you got to say it, and I literally say it. I am who God created me to be.
Before you read all 5, because that's going over to another foundation. So let me wrap this one up, and then let me bring that in. Because self-care is more so, it's not necessarily what we say to ourselves, not necessarily the money, the finances, how much we spend on ourselves. Self-care is really about time. And like you say, you took the time to do your own nails, or take the time to do your own nails, do your own hair. So we have to come out of self-care as being, I'm going to go on a shopping spree. It's not about that. You can care for yourself by just taking the time to go to the park and just sit there. By taking the time to just ride around town for 30 minutes. By taking the time to go to a body of water and just look at the water. You know, you're taking the time for self, doing what you enjoy. It doesn't have to involve finances. One of the ways that I do self-care is I just make myself get off the computer, don't do any work, and we're going to sit here. I'm a bully to myself. And I said, we're going to sit here and we're going to watch this movie. Like, I have to tell myself that, because I'll just find something else to do. So no, we're going to put this down. We're going to cut the computer off. We'll find in a movie. We're going to watch it. We're going to watch the whole movie before we go to bed. And that's what, because I do talk to myself as we. And what we're going to do, because I like movies, but I don't take the time out to watch them. So something as simple as that. I don't have to leave my house. So what I'm trying to do is break every excuse for you taking self-care. I didn't leave my house. I didn't say I watched it on Netflix. I didn't say I watched it on Hulu. You can get Tubi for free. You can go on YouTube. They have whole movies. Like, there's a movie category on YouTube. You can watch free movies. You know, if that's your thing, you can find a game on your phone that's free and just play the game. Take the time every day to play the game. Buy your crossword puzzle. So I'm trying to show you there's so many ways that you can do self-care that don't involve outside resources that you may or may not have. Because you can find stuff you can sit down and just write.
Yeah.
Because somebody might say, I don't have internet. Sit down and just write. Write out your thoughts. Write out or draw. I'm sure everybody has at least one pencil or ink pen. I'm sure everybody can find a piece of paper. You can't find a piece of paper. Go to, you got some napkins from McDonald's. I mean, you can get, you shouldn't have an excuse. Another foundation, number 3, is inner voice. And so that's what you're kind of going into, because we have to be careful of our inner voice. What is that voice saying that's the inside of us? One of my favorite, it is my favorite book, is Crash the Chatterbox by Stephen Furtick. And he talks about just the voice that's in our head. How is it that we defeat the voice in our head? Because everybody has a chatterbox. And so that chatterbox might say, I'm at a meeting, I'm the most unqualified person here. Or it might say, you going on a plane, just man, look at this plane crash. Like dumb stuff. We have those voices that just say the most insane things. You can go around a group of people, see how they're laughing at everybody else. Nobody here really likes me. It's really a voice in our mind, that inner voice that just torments us. So we have to take control over it. And one of the methods that you can use to take control over the inner voice is what Shontal is about to talk about.
And it's you have to talk to yourself. One of the, and I'm gonna go back to the part of it too, because when you depress, some people bothers me. When first you got to admit it. That's the first step. Admit that it is more internal than anything. If you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, it's something wrong with me, maybe I am depressed. Some people think of depression as a psychotic breakdown. It's not. It may be for some, but that don't mean it's for you. And it wasn't for me. It was just a depression that's for me, what I thought. And one of the things I had to do was stop comparing myself to other people. Stop allowing people to give me their opinions of me and what I do and the mistakes that I made and all that. And don't be around toxic people. I tell to this day, one of my main goals is to always hang around people that's smarter than me. If I don't feel dumb in a situation, it's not for me. Because, or the people around me, if I'm not growing and learning, that's a problem. And so, and then you got to be around people, like I said before in many podcasts, you hear me say, the people that you hang around, or how rigid the accountability. You have to have those type of people around you that's gonna let you know when you're off your game. And then you got to also trust the process of what you're going through. Just because it's today, that's just like all week it's been raining. Today it stopped raining. That don't mean that it's gonna keep going. And so depression is the first step, because I think that's what a lot of people deal with. But back to the affirmations and the quotes that I have given myself, I speak to myself. Sometimes people be like, oh, that's crazy. No, it's not. Because you have to, you got to know your purpose. And my 5 things is, well, it's more than 5, but I'm gonna just point out, I am who God created me to be. My hands, my mouth is a blessing and not a curse. I am beautiful. I am a great mother, wife, daughter, friend, sister. And one of the things, business why I am a trendsetter. You have to put that in your head and basically let it flow. Sometimes I don't read it. Sometimes I miss it. But when I do get to that point where I start to question who I am as far as loving myself or feeling that depression sinking in, I go back to it and I'll be like, okay, girl, you ain't finna sit in this. We ain't finna do this today. And some people like, I don't talk to myself. Talk to yourself, baby. Because sometimes, you ain't crazy because you talking to yourself. You get the answer in yourself. Should I go kill that nigga? No. Stuff like that, that's different. But preach to you speak over yourself. You know, it's a song called Speak Up. What is it? Speak Up. Who sings? William Murphy. I'm encouraged. Speak over yourself. You know, you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but you don't call that name.
Yeah, but I forgot. But who sing it? But you have to encourage yourself. You literally have to push yourself to a different level of expectations for your at times. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You just loving on yourself in a different way. And you can't depend on somebody else to give you that love. You got to do it for yourself. Some people don't want to put in that work, but you got to in order to.
And it's so important to, the thing is, I think a lot of people say, well, I ain't gonna lie. No, call those things to be not as so they were. To get it in your mind, if you say what you see, not what you see. So say what you see yourself as being. Like, I see myself as this. This is why it's important to have self-love. How do you see yourself? Now, somebody else might see you as broke, busted, and disgusted. That don't mean you got to see you as broke, busted, and disgusted. Somebody else might see you as untalented and as a burden. That don't mean you got to see you as untalented and a burden. So, what is it? How is it that you see yourself? The bad things that we hear about ourselves speak the opposite of it. Now, that don't mean, because I don't want to open the door for somebody to say, everybody say I got a bad attitude. They just don't want to accept me. No, boo, you probably do have a bad attitude. You need to work on that. But when it comes to like who you are, go out at somebody, judge you or something like that, you don't have to accept what people are saying. You don't have to accept it as your truth. I'm so big on it that even if somebody says, so I was talking to somebody about going somewhere, like I'll just use an example like my, so there's a thing about Miami. Y'all know, if y'all on TikTok, the girls be going to Miami and they come back, they ain't friends no more. People go on friend trips to Miami. I don't know what it is about it. There is such a thing now that we see on TikTok and stuff. Friends go in groups to Miami as friends, and by the time they come back, they ain't speaking anymore. So if I say, oh, I'm going with some friends to Miami, and I tell somebody that, y'all better be careful. Y'all know everybody go down there. You're not going to say that to me, because that's not going to be a voice that becomes my inner voice. So first of all, I'm going to correct you immediately, because you'll never put me in a boat with nobody else. You can always. I don't care if you treat everybody bad. You ain't going to treat me bad. I don't care if you talk down to everybody. You ain't talk down to me. And that's a form of self-love and self-care. But you have to be careful who you allow to speak certain things, because it can become, their voice can become your inner voice. So when people say that kind of stuff, to keep it from becoming your inner voice, you just say the opposite. If somebody calls you an idiot, you can say the opposite. Don't let I'm an idiot become your inner voice. Let I'm wise. I have wisdom. I have knowledge. I bring a lot I don't want to say to the table, because if you saw last episode, we don't bring stuff to the table. We create our own tapes. But we have to be careful of that inner voice and really tend to it. Don't let it just go, I don't even really be paying. No, tend to that inner voice so that you can say, not me, might be you, but not me. And that brings us to the other point, and then there is three more. So this one is self-discovery. It's something that I think is so important, and it is the foundation of self-love. We've kind of touched on it. Self-discovery is basically finding out what you like, developing goals, developing hobbies outside of what everybody else likes. It goes back to who are you were told who to be. Some people were told, oh, you would do good at public speaking, but that's not what you want to do. Oh, there are a lot of people who are preachers. There are a lot of people who are pastors, because people have said, oh, you would make such a good preacher. Oh, you read that, you need to start your church. And you listen to these people and you started a church, but if you really were doing self-discovery, a lot of y'all probably wouldn't be pastoring. Who were you? What did you like before you were told what to like? Who were you before you were told who you were? And so self-discovery is so important. Is there a time where you didn't know, or maybe you, Shontal, were told to be something, or that you would do good at something and you did it and you regretted it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it have been a few times with somebody that told me, "Oh, girl, you this and that," but it goes back to this saying, and I said it earlier. Um, you don't have to answer to what people call you. And I think once I learned that, because people will put situations on you that God didn't even create you to do. Just because you're good at it, that don't mean you're a professional at it.
And if you don't know who you are, if you haven't done any self-discovery, anybody can say anything to you, but like, that sounds kind of right. Or
And you,
I can go with that. Because you don't know who you are, so you accept what everybody else say. That's a form of self-hate, to just go with what everybody else say, because you haven't taken the time out to discover who you are.
Yes, a big part.
And when you have self-discovery, what comes next is number 4, self-acceptance. It is accepting who you are instead of trying to, it's not to say you're not to try to improve or something, but accepting who you are, accepting that you are enough, accepting that you are worthy of whatever. A lot of people don't even think that they're worthy of success. A lot of people don't think that they're worthy of fame or fortune or worthy of love. Um, I think that comes with condemnation, but it's a form of self-hate to feel like you're not worthy of whatever. You have to have a level of self-acceptance. What you got to say about that?
That is so true. I think that a lot of that comes from a lot of seeds like that is planted for a lot of I know in when they was younger. People plant seed. That's why it's so careful. I'm so mindful what I call and what I say to my kids. Because people will grow up with it. They will grow up thinking and causing self-destruction on themselves as far as what they are. You can call kids some, and the other day Josh was like, "I'm gonna be a bus driver." Sarai was like, "You ain't gonna drive no bus. That ain't nothing to do." It is something to do if it's what he liked to do. I didn't downplay him because that ain't what I want him to do. But if it's something good, it's not something that's gonna put him behind bars or have him out in the streets. And I think a lot of things start at childhood, and a lot of that start when you're younger because people plant seeds in you. So you have to be able to break them out and cut it out. You have to cut it out. Like you can't use that as an excuse. You can't. I'm not gonna say use it as an excuse. Use it as this is the only thing I'm capable of doing. That makes sense.
It does, and it's a really good example. It made me think of, I was listening to um, a mother and her daughter, and the daughter was like, I want to be a librarian, was her goal. And I mean, the her mama was like, a librarian. Librarians don't make no money. I need you to make that money. And it just goes to show you, first of all, when mama and daddy don't have self-acceptance, because they trying to certain level, they trying to do this, they trying to do that. They haven't taken the time out to do it for themselves. And so now they implement that, or they plant those seeds into their children of a lack of self-acceptance, because you got to do more. That's not big enough. That's not good enough. That's not going to make me happy. And it also shows you how limited a lot of people's minds are. And a lot of people don't feel like children and teenagers have good sense. But if that person, so that person is now not going to be a librarian, right? Because their mama said, you got to do something that's going to make you some money. But if you, I mean, I was very upset by that, listening to that. But if you had a open enough mind, you could probably see, first of all, this is what's going to make her happy. Who's to say she ain't going to have side businesses? Who's to say she ain't going to have real estate all over the world and still doing what she loves as a librarian? Who's to say that she's not going to own the library? Who's to say? Who's to say that she's going to live a life where she wants to have millions of dollars, a lot of money? Who's to say she's not going to be just happy? There are people who are happy living regular lives. A lot of children cannot reach a level of self-acceptance because parents have torn them down early. Who were you before you were told who you should be? Is that to say that parents shouldn't steer their children? No, parents should steer them in a way, but also honing in on who that person wants to be. It goes back to that parent is no better than the father who says, "Son, you gonna play.
Right.
You ain't got no other choice. You ain't no better. You ain't no different."
Right.
And so, but son don't want to play football. Son maybe wants to be in debate. Son, he probably wants to into politics. Maybe he just wants to do something smaller. Maybe he wants to do something different. Maybe he don't want to play football. He wants to play because you failed at football, because you got injured in football, because you didn't make it as far as you wanted in football, because your parents didn't let you play football. You're going to force it on your child. We have to do better. And that's why it's important to do it for ourselves, because then we can give it to those who are coming up behind us.
Yeah.
Also, when you have self-acceptance, it leads you, and I think this is the last one, it leads you to have something that you know I'm real good at, and that's boundaries. Because self-acceptance is accepting or rejecting inward. So that is accepting yourself or certain things about you that need to be changed, rejecting that, but accepting who you are. Boundaries is I'm not or I will accept this from outside sources. You know, I could talk all day about boundaries alone. You know, I think I do a very good job. I might be wrong, but I think I do a very good job of because I have said it. I mean, it is very healthy, I think. It's not the most convenient and liked by others, but yeah, it's called self-love. So it works for me. Because, you know, one thing about me, but so I can go down a quick list of things about me. You're not going to call me and get an answer after 10:30 if you are not that close to me. I'll give those who are a little bit closer 9:30. Don't call me before 9:30, you know. If I'm in a good mood, maybe 9:15, maybe. But don't definitely, and it's gotten better because it used to be 12:30 for everybody. Just don't on what's on do not disturb until 12:30. But now it's 10:30. Another thing is you're not going to text me and expect a quick answer. Because what we got to talk about? I need some done. Okay, yeah, I look at it in the morning. You're not going to talk crazy to me. You're not going to get in my business. You're not going to dictate what I do. You're not going to judge what I do. I'm not going to listen to you. You know, I have people who I can say something. This is the dumbest thing I think people do. Guys, if you do it, I think it's very dumb that you do it. So people who, because it's so common, I don't think people realize it. So like if I say, I'm going to go to the store at 12 noon. I'm going to run to the store, and then I'm going to go and get some gas, and then I'm going out of town. Somebody say, well, if I was you, you know, I'd be wanting to cut them off right there, but I got a little grace. Because first of all, you're not me. So why are we even talking about it? I hate unsolicited advice. So that's another boundary. This is what I'm trying to get to. I hate unsolicited advice because that's a boundary that I've set, because people will really put you in bounds, in a limit, just because they want to give you unsolicited advice. Like, listen, when I want to know, I'll ask. Until then, and I'll sit there because you know I have respect. You know, I'll sit there and I'll be like, I hear you. You hear me? I hear you. You gonna do it? Because you know I have enough respect not to lie. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I just sat here and said all that. You ain't gonna do it? Nope. I think I'm gonna just stick with what I said, guys. But that is the boundary that I have, and it really keeps me happy. It does. Pisses people off, which is funny to me. It makes for a real good story because you know I call up my people, be like, "Girl, let me tell you what you said." But what are some boundaries that you have set up, or are you good at that or bad at that? I should start with that question. Are you good at setting boundaries, or is that something you need to work on?
I think I'm good at it. I was working on it. I'm good at it. I don't feel like I got the answer for everybody anymore. I don't care who you is.
Oh, that is so good. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Really, I thank my son for that, Joshua, because he had my phone majority of the time. So, and he knows. Joshua knows. He will look at people pictures on the phone, and if he see a certain picture on the phone, he'll come and he'll say, "Yeah." He knows.
Screenshot the man. I don't believe my picture on your phone. You go ahead.
He know Uncle Reggie, but anyway, he'll be like, Mama, the phone ringing, or he'll send you the voicemail, and I find out. And sometimes he done sent you the voicemail even with your picture on the phone.
You know.
So he have taught me, you don't have to answer. I don't at night, I don't do, even with the kids. At 8 o'clock, I done set boundaries for my children. 8 o'clock, 8:30, you in the bed. That's it. We don't have nothing else to discuss unless you're sick or something. But I had to I don't answer to nobody. I don't really talk to nobody no more. They ain't pouring into me. I just had to stop all contact communication with a lot of people. And then I don't do the fake love no more. You ain't gonna love me today and then don't want to deal with me tomorrow. We ain't got to deal with each other right now. So I think one of the things I used to do is always try to be accepted. And once I learned not to always feel accepted, it's okay not to be accepted. I'm good. So I'm good. I'm good with that. I got boundaries now. I don't fool folks.
And I think that is because I forgot that I do that. I feel like my boundaries have been in place so strongly that I don't even look at them as boundaries. But I forgot that I do that. And I think that's something that a lot of people should work on. Because, so many people, we have the era of technology, One of my things is, so I have 2 phones. 9 times out of 10, I almost want to say like 99% of the time, if you have one number, you don't have the other because you are never, oh, Jesus. I can only imagine the wrath you would catch if you have both numbers and you call one and they answer, you call the other. Like, I'm just going to forget that I'm saved because I just feel like that is just so dumb. Why would you do that? But I have a very strong boundary. I was just with this with a friend not long ago. And I've learned to not be fake with it, not to lie with it. I have, there was somebody who just kept calling me. And it's like, I don't really have, like you were mentioning, I don't have anything to give. You come with bad news, something always is going wrong. Your day ain't never good. How was your day? How you doing? I'm here. So what you do today? Oh, I can't say I'm at a restaurant because you got to tell me about how you were fighting. You got to fight everything. So those type of people, I just don't answer the phone for. Mm-hmm. I don't have it in me to sit here and have this discussion with you. I'm not going to be able to do it. I can't tell you nothing. I remember I told one, I forgot what it was that was hurting on me. And they just immediately gave me some horrible disease and was like, "Oh, you need to get checked because you might have this." And I rebuked them. I don't, can't. I get you right. I'm that parent. I feel like I'm like them parents who say, if you touch it in the store, you act up in the store, you're gonna get it in the store because I'm gonna give it to you right where you stand. Like, don't play with me. And that is a boundary that I've set. So to go from that, I don't even give you the opportunity now because that takes a lot out of me to have to sit there and correct you the whole time we're on the phone. That takes a lot out of me to have to sit there and listen to you complain and then come back with, okay, you need to look at it this way. That I don't have time for that all the time. So let me take my boundaries a little bit further. I'm not gonna answer the phone. And then the next time I talk to you, ooh, that ain't like you. Yes, it is. Ooh, you've been busy. I really have not been busy at all, to be very honest with you. I just didn't have it in me to answer the phone. I just been taking a break. I'm just taking some time away. Good news only. Good news hotline. But we have to set boundaries, because why is it that so many people, I did that for the longest. I just let people drain me. Every time you call, I answer. Every time you need advice, I give it to you. Every time you need some, I'm giving it to you. I'm making sure you're good. And we can't look at it and say, well, who's going to make sure I'm good? I make sure everybody else good, because that goes back into you trying to be the victim. You allowed it, so you got to cut it off. And you got to reassess. So those are just 6. I think we did all 6. Quick foundations of self-love, mental health, self-care, the inner voice, self-discovery, self-acceptance, and boundaries. So you have 6 things. Like, I think they probably got a little something, don't you think, Shontal? I think they may have got like boom, boom, king. Do you have anything to add? Who opened this up? Because I'm big on, I like for who to open the close. I think I opened it up. Then I get us started. Am I today's host?
I just got 3 minutes.
Amen. She didn't answer my question, but she got some. Amen.
Take yourself out to eat.
Mm.
Get you a gratitude journal. Make sure when you have that journal, you put down how you feel that. Some people call it a diary, but you got the name. You can't name everything as a diary nowadays. You got to put some words to it. And also, practice on holding yourself accountable for what you don't do for yourself for that day. And that's it.
So that's a good end of the day kind of thing. Well, it's really something that can be spread throughout the day. Write your journal throughout the day. Got time to write your journal, take yourself out to lunch. That's something I'm working on. I'm trying to get there. I ain't made it there yet. Because, I don't like people. I mean, I like y'all. But,
yourself out. You ain't got to sit at a restaurant. Like you said, go to the lake, go to...
Oh, yeah, that's true. Cool, because I do be going to the movies. And then, can I just say something that's off topic? Just because I'm petty. Be petty. I'm going to be petty. Because, a lot of people be saying that they want to get married and stuff. A lot of these people out here say that they're married. I want my husband to find me. I'm going to find me. But you don't never go nowhere. Like, you always at home. You don't go nowhere. You don't go to the movies. You don't go out to sit down at a restaurant. I mean, what's going to happen? How is he going to find you? I'm just trying to figure it out.
Village gone. That's why.
Say that again.
The village is gone. That's why.
What they got to do with what I just said?
Because I can attest for that. Me and my husband don't do a lot of stuff. And it's because we don't have nobody to watch the kids.
What they got to do with what I just said?
Because I'm just telling you, sometimes you can't. No, I'm just giving you the reasons, the excuses. It's not that you people do want husbands and stuff and wives and all that, but to a point where.
So what I'm gathering from her guys is that instead of looking and saying, how can I fix this issue? What can I do better? How am I responsible for this? She's making herself the victim. I'm not gonna let you guys do it.
No, I will
The
make
village is gone. We can say that the village is gone. But all you gotta do is find you another. All you gotta do is find you another source. You can take your kids to the park. What better way? Take your kids to the park. Run around. I don't care how you looking at me. Because at the end of the day, you got your man. I'm to these folks out here that saying they want to get married. That's what I'm trying to figure out what you felt need to speak up for. You, your man. You ain't in there with them. You ain't even in that boat. Now you done jumped out of your boat and you done swam your way. You done jumped in these folks' boat and they ain't even asked you to come. You get your hips back in your boat. With that being said, guys. That being said, stop making excuses. Get to self-love, loving yourself. We gave you 6 topics, and then Shontal gave you 3 real good things at the end. Take yourself out. Take yourself out to do something that you enjoy. If you got to take your kids to what better bonding experience because you love your kids, or find a way. If you're control, just say that, Shontal. Or find a way, find a village. If the kids are in school, perhaps you need to put in a day for PTO. Perhaps you need to take off a little early and work a little late so you can take some time for yourself. There's many ways to do this, guys. There's no excuse. I'm not going to let it happen. Take yourself out. Start your gratitude journal. Journal every day. It's something I'm going to start doing. Why? Because I listened to The Awakening. And so find you a notebook. Write down your gratitude journal, jot in it every day throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, take a look, be in that journal. At the end of the day, take a look in that journal and say, what is it that I could have done to make this day just that much? I don't care how good the day was. You could have found a way to make it better. And watch, your life will be rejuvenated. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
You didn't shut me down.
Excuses.